Hey guys, if you remember the discharge modifiers in Phoenix, I want to show you how to do the same kind of stuff in tyFlow with Zenith. So I'm gonna create this sphere, I'm gonna create one tyFlow and create a bird inferno. And I'm gonna pick the emitter right here and it's gonna start burning. Let me just again double check my timeline configuration. And it burns. Right, so now I wanna disable the density, leave only the fire, and I'm gonna move this like right here. Right, just create a key here and create another key here on this frame. Right, so now it starts burning in this place and then it moves and then finishes burning in the other place. But in order to make it burn only when it's moving, I can do this. I can click this icon here, add a value operator like this, and then I can change the type to a property. And here we have a lot of things, so I can use the surface velocity, like the surface things are those related to the geometry and those are the particle stuff right here. So I could even use the surface acceleration. I'm gonna use the surface velocity right now like this, and it can do, let me just replay it. Yeah, so it could start emitting only when it's moving and then stop emitting when it stops moving as well. So there is another kind of setup. I'm just going to delete this emitter. Maybe I'm going to delete the emitter operator as well. I'm going to create a box like this. I'm going to change the pivot of the box a little. Hold on. Okay, like this. Don't have to be super precise, but it's gonna help. And then, so this way I can make this block fall. Like I had this example scene in Phoenix. Let me just reset the rotation. I had such a scene in Phoenix a long time ago, so let me animate this as well. So I'm gonna start from here and have this block come crashing down like this. Boom. Let me create another inferno emitter. Pick the box, now it starts burning. I'm going to disable the temperature and leave only the density. And I'm gonna also add something that is gonna serve like a ground plane. Actually, let me use the inferno collider like this, and I'm gonna enable the built-in ground collider. Right, so let's try it again. Yeah. However, the light position is a bit weird. Let me just create another light. Standard, I'm just gonna pick an omni, although, yeah, I'm not gonna be using the light for its actual purposes, so it could be any kind of helper. So I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna use this specified node right here. Cool, okay. Just gonna move the tyFlow icon out of the way. And now this block is smoking throughout its animation. But I can add right here, I can add a value operator. And then I can tell it to, again, only emit based on the velocity of the point. And this way, let me just hold on. Yeah, let me just go back to a gradient. All right, so this way it's gonna start emitting more smoke where it's moving faster and less smoke where it's moving slower. So I can even remap this like this, and I can make it emit more smoke only in the only where the where it's faster. So let's just set the ranges right. Okay. So the actual input velocity could be higher, but yeah, let's normalize it. What? No, that's what I'm gonna do here anyway. So let's do it like this, and I'm gonna move this even more to the right. So I just wanna chop off all of the smoke that gets emitted. Also, hold on, let me just change the emit mode. So I'm gonna emit from the volume. Although, yeah, it's more correct for this exact setup to only emit from the surface. So let's keep it like this. Also gonna set it to replace in order to be more exact. And yeah, here it is. The slowest moving velocity emits the less smoke, and when it hits the ground and stops, it doesn't emit smoke anymore. Here it is. So in this simulation there is a bit too much vorticity. I'm also gonna increase the conservation and increase the resolution by reducing the voxel size. Hold on, let me just go back so that we can watch it. Right, here it is. So now there is a proper rolling wave right here. And as it collapses, it even starts leaving like this, these trails right here in the air. All right, so aside from this, the value operators could also be used for emitting from particles. So when you have like particle trails that you don't want to have like mushrooms appearing at their ends, this is also one good application of the value operators. So let me just create, okay, hold on, it's the birth. I will set position to the position icon, create new. I'm gonna locate them at the pivot. Also gonna add some speed. Yeah. Emit everything at frame 0. But why? All right, let's just put the position first. Speed. Wait, I don't want to set the speed. I want the speed to be continuous. Hold on. I want the birth to be happening only on frame 0. Oh man. All right, so yeah, I also wanna I also want to delete those particles at some point. For example, like on frame, oh no. How big should it be? Okay, frame 50. Like this. Alright, and now I'm gonna use those to create fire and smoke. Here in the emitter, I'm just gonna tell it to include these false particles. And these are our particle trails in the beginning, and they don't look very marvelous at this point. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I am gonna add right here a value operator, and I'm gonna base it on the... Alright, so now, yeah, check this out. So now the motion velocity is based on the X position. So the further to the right, the more motion velocity the particles are gonna contribute. But yeah, so that's interesting, but that's not exactly what I had in mind. So I'm gonna set it to age, the particle age. And this way, by default, the motion velocity is gonna correspond to the particle age. So the older a particle gets, the more motion velocity is gonna contribute. So I want to do the opposite. I want it to have a higher motion velocity in the beginning and lower motion velocity in the end. And also, I gotta change this so we have the age goes from 0 to 50, and the minimum maximum should go between 0 and 1. So this way, in the beginning, there is gonna be a higher motion velocity, and in the end, it's gonna slow down. Just let me check the emitter again. I'm gonna change the mode to replace so that the particles are gonna imprint their value in the grid. Also, I'm gonna connect this to the density and to the temperature, like this and like this. So now the density and the temperature, they are also gonna decrease as the particles age. So here's how it's gonna look. But now the temperature is way too low, so I'm gonna create another value operator just in order to be able to scale the original value. So I'm gonna multiply it by, so if I multiply it by 6, this should be enough to show something like this. Just gonna move the particle flow icon to the side. So at the beginning there's gonna be a lot of temperature, and then it's gonna die out. Right, so I just wanna, here is how it looks in motion. I just want to add a bit more punch to it, so I'm gonna add a snail operator like this in order to add more drag to the particles. However, yeah, by default now the drag reduces the velocity with 5%, and I'm gonna increase the initial magnitude to 0.2, for example. Maybe more. Let's make it 0.4. How is this? Yeah. All right, and one more thing is that here you can also control the actual shape of the particle. But by the way, just the density is a bit too low. Let me first reduce the number of particles so that we could see the individual ones. Right, so let me just increase the density a bit. I'm gonna do the same thing, so I'm gonna add a new value operator right here, connect this here, and multiply it by 2. How is that? Okay, so here I just gotta do a bit of cable management. Okay, and then I can also do this thing. So here, this curve, if I make it a bit more rounder like this, then this means that at the beginning there is going to be more motion velocity, more smoke, more temperature, and they are going to slowly fade out until they suddenly drop to 0. So this way, this is going to make the actual trails thicker. But I want to do the opposite thing. So I want to have the trails larger in the beginning, and then I want to have them thinner towards the end, like this. So let me also enable the rest of the particles. All right. Yeah, and now this thing looks like looks like that thing from Briscoe County Jr. So let me add a bit more variation. Okay, so it's 0. So let me add 20%. What if I add even more, like 40? Okay, and one more thing is that still here at the beginning they are way too thick. So I can also do one more thing. So I could add this same value operator for the thickness as well, so that at the beginning the particles are larger and then they start reducing their size. I'm also gonna increase the resolution a bit, so let's make it 0.04. And yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Let's just wait for it to end. How does it look in motion now? Let me just disable the display of the particles. Right, so it might be rotating a bit too much. Let me just decrease the vorticity a little. Maybe increase the conservation. Right, and yeah, basically that's it. I just wanna finish this off with a sphere, and I'm gonna add another emitter right here. I'm just gonna, no, I'm not gonna pick the sphere now. I'm gonna set this to volume. I'm gonna tell it to emit at the time when the particles actually stop emitting. So hold on, let me just move to the beginning. So I'm gonna set it to frame 50 to frame 50, just one frame of emission, and it's volume, just emit temperature, emit a lot of pressure, so I'm gonna set it to like 80, and now I'm gonna pick the sphere, and let's see how this looks. Cool. Alright, so thanks guys for watching, and see you in the next episode. Bye. Oh man, I just couldn't leave it like this. So here in the emitter, I changed the pressure and changed the emit mode to replace. And in Bird Inferno, I set the trace velocity to 0 for more symmetry, source buffer to 2 so that it won't clip, and increase the radius of the sphere. And this is how it works now. Yeah! Alright, this time really. Bye, see you in the next video.